Is it visible, Francis?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Welcome everybody to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Kenya Power Platform user group. And today I'm going to start a little bit on the application side of Power Platform, and we will see how you can create applications which can be accessed on various devices with following a simple few steps. So before we start, a little bit of introduction. As Francis already mentioned, I am a Microsoft MVP and MCT for business applications. Other than that, I work as a Power Platform consultant, and I am also the user group leader for Hyderabad Power Platform user group. If you would like to connect with me, you can scan the QR code for LinkedIn here, and you can follow me on Twitter. In case there are any questions for me, you can reach out to me on agrawalritika08@gmail.com. Other than that, I do have a personal blog which is agrawalritika.com, and here I like to write about the things I find interesting on Power Platform. So if there is anything which can help you, please check it out and let me know in case of any questions. So, moving on to the session details, I'll be covering two types of application in this session. The first one is going to be a relatively shorter one, given the number of steps we have to follow. And then after that, I will focus on the second kind of application. So, if we talk about the Power Platform ecosystem, there are different kinds of applications you can create. It can be something you create for your user base. It could be something you create for your administrators, something for the people inside your organization. Or there can be some kind of applications which are for everybody, like external users. So, in any case, uh, you would like to build an application, there are various options available for you on Power Platform. And the first one we are going to talk about is called as model driven app. This is a kind of application which you can build in a few steps, I would say, and then you can create really powerful application which runs on various rules and has processes along with it. My session, it will be more on a hands-on experience basis, so I will be showing you the demos rather than going through the slides, so that it is easier for you all to understand. And in case there are any questions, please drop those on the chat. Okay, so model-driven apps, an overview. Let's take it to the browser. Now, whenever you start working on a Power Platform application, the first thing you set up is the environment where actually your application will reside. So here I have a developer type environment for me, Ritika Agarwal's environment, and this is a free environment which you can get via a Microsoft licensing plan. It's free and it can be used for your personal apps automation. It can be for your learning purposes, etc. I will share a link later in the chat through which you can see how you can create your own developer environment. Here you can set up everything, but it is only for personal usage. None of your production applications should be deployed here. So this is the environment I'm using. And because we are first building a model driven app, the first thing we need to take care of is the data. Any application you build, whether it's on Power Platform or elsewhere, every time you have to understand what kind of data you are collecting. And in this first kind of application, model driven apps, the data source is going to be Microsoft Dataverse. We'll get to the second type of application in some time, but for this one, it is only Microsoft Dataverse which can be hosted. Now, if you ask me if there is a limitation, why would I use a model driven app? So, in that case, the answer to that would be there are many powerful features that comes with model driven apps. First thing is it's responsive in design. Whether I open it on a mobile device or a desktop device or a laptop device, everywhere it will understand the screen orientation and size, and it will adjust the app settings for me. Second, I don't need to worry about the user interface much because the steps I am following to create an application, they have they set up the user interface by default. Let's start with a very simple one and then we can see how you can modify it. This is my Dataverse table. So in my developer environment, I have tables, and in this I have one contractor table. For this contractor, I have a number of columns, just like anything, whether you're using a SQL server earlier or maybe even an Excel sheet, every data you store, it, I would say 90% of the times the data you're storing, it is in the form of tables. So here also I have a table called as contractor, and it has several columns to store the properties of each contractor. Now, when I want to create a model-driven app on this table, I will open the Maker experience again on make.powerapps.com. Always make sure you have selected the right environment, which is this one in my case, and I will go to apps. From here, I can do new model-driven. So just until this point, I selected what kind of application I would like to create. Then it asks me the name of my application. So I can say contractor management. So this is an application I am creating for the contractor data. I can provide it a description if I want and then create. This will start provisioning my application, and now it's up to me. What do I want to add inside of it? Let's give it a few seconds while it is. Okay, can you please mute? Thank you. Um, Francis, can you please check who is unmuted and mute them?
Someone is unmuted. Let me check.
Okay,
Please
thank you.
proceed. Okay.
All right. So this is the interface we get when we are trying to create a model-driven app. And here there is a concept called as navigation. So the first thing we learned was the data source we need is Microsoft Dataverse. The second thing is the navigations. That's what matters inside a model-driven app. So here, if I expand, I have groups and sub areas. We'll get to that later, but at this point, I want to show that table on my app on my application. So I'll select the sub area and say the content type is table. The table is contractor. I can search for it. And then what is the title I want to provide here? Contractors. And that's it. Save. Once it is saved, we will publish it. The difference between save and publish is when you save, it only saves it in the dev, like in the development editor. Whereas when you publish, it is pushed to the live application. And when I say live application, it's not the production environment, but in this environment only. So I am publishing it. Once it is published, we will play it. If I play it now, you can see I have an application where I have the navigation on the left side, then my table is displaying here. I have several records in the contractor list. If I select one of these, I can see the details behind that specific record. So all these columns, name, company account, hire date, termination date, icon, phone number, etc., they are all coming from Microsoft Dataverse. So if I want to say I want to build a model driven app, it starts with Dataverse because that's what we are going to show here. Then on the basis of the table, you can configure which fields will be displayed. So for example, if I want to change this user experience, there is a concept called as view. I have it open here. So as you can see, I only have name, email, and company account here. If I also want to add the hire date, it's all drag and drop. So I dragged and dropped the hire date onto the view editor, and once I save and publish, this should be reflected in the model river app. Here, the idea is you can create an application without having to write a single line of code. And that's what we are seeing here. We are just dragging and dropping controls and setting up the navigations in a way where everything is self-aligned on the application when it is played. Like when I published it, let's refresh and see if we can see the latest changes. And yes, here is our hire date. So now I can manage an application which I can control with just a few clicks. And if I, like in this case, I just had this contractor table. So I added only one navigation. But if I have more, I can go back to my editor and say, okay, I want to add another sub area. And here there are a couple of options. I can add a table. If there is a dashboard, even if it's a Power BI dashboard, it can be added. If it's a custom page, it's a concept where you can embed a page, just like a Canvas app. We'll talk about the Canvas apps next. You can add it. It can be a web resource for styling and an external URL. So all the things can be added. Here I'm going to add another table. Let's say accounts table and add. That's it. Save and publish. Once I publish, this will all be pushed to the application, like the play version of my app. Just waiting for the publish to complete. Okay, published. Now if we come here, and I have the accounts table. Similarly, account table has its own set of columns. I can add a new record, and here I have a form where I can provide the details of each column from my account table. Similarly, if I go to contractors and open one of the records, I see the form here for contractors. And similarly, there is an editor for the forms as well, where you can select how you want to configure it. Like maybe I want to keep the phone here. That is also drag and drop. Save. And once it is saved, we will publish. There are many types of controls which can be added to a model driven app. And as you play around with the model driven app, you will understand how this is all set up. There are many things which can be done in case, the functionality is not supported out of the box. But in my experience, the features you get with model driven app, they are enough to build a very powerful application. So now if I open this, my phone is shifted towards the right side. And the best part of a model driven app, let's inspect this so that I can view it in a mobile manner. See, this is automatically adjusted. I have not done anything with respect to user interface, but still my app is built in a way where I can click on it and it is opened in a mobile friendly view. If I keep increasing the width, or maybe I'll say responsive, if I keep increasing it, you can see that this is, getting adjusted on the basis of screen size. See, that is the beauty of a model driven app. You can build an application where you are only concerned about the data and the processes that will follow along with it. So that is what you can build using a model driven app. There can be other things like I only want to show the hire date when the company account is maybe ABC. So those kind of rules can be added. There can be various processes. I think I have one in the out of the box setup. So let's check. Okay, no process is there, but you can add like a stage-wise implementation on the model-driven app again without writing any line of code. So the model-driven apps are purely low-code, no-code applications. You can add customizations in case it's a requirement and the functionality is not supported out of the box in a model-driven app. But otherwise, in my experience, most of the things can be done right here. Because as you can see, you have so many specialized controls through which you can select the data. You have like a drop down, you have text fields, you have lookups where you can select related records directly. So the model driven apps are very intelligent when it comes to creating an application where the main focus is on completing the whole process. With that said, now let's move on to the second kind of application we have in our scenario, which is a Canvas app. As we build the Canvas app, I will show you how it differs from a model-driven app and where you would use a Canvas app and model-driven app and a basic difference between the two. So first, let's see what a Canvas app is, and then we will talk about the differences. Okay, so let's go back here and now I will refer to one file which I have in OneDrive. So in many scenarios, you may have also encountered something like using an Excel file for keeping the records. And in some cases, you may have a database where everything is stored. Depending on the scenario and the requirements, you can have your own data source of your choice. Now, how we can integrate it with Power Platform is with the help of a Canvas app. So, if I talk about the first difference here, it's on the database. For your model-driven app, it is only going to be Microsoft Dataverse, whereas for Canvas app, it can be Dataverse and other data sources along with it. Now, when I'm trying to create the application, it is asking me for the name. So let's call it Flooring Estimates app. It asks me whether it is going to be a tablet view or a phone view. Why is that a requirement here and not on a model driven app? The reason is on the model driven app, it's responsive in design. Whereas the Canvas app, it's not responsive by nature. When I say not responsive in nature, it does not limit its functionality in any way. The only difference is if I select a tablet view application and I open it on a mobile device, I'll have to tilt my phone by 90 degrees so it comes in a landscape mode, like wider width, because that's a tablet screen size. Whereas if I select phone and I open that on the on the laptop or desktop device, I will have some extra spaces on both sides. To show you the responsiveness side by side, I'm not going to select tablet view here, I'm going to select the phone view. Like I want to create my app in a phone manner. If you ask me, okay, what if I want to create an application which is responsive in Canvas apps? That is also a feature which is available, and I'll showcase that in a few minutes. So I'll select phone and create. So now this is provisioning my Canvas application. And here I want to bring the data from this Excel file on OneDrive. So I will do this data, then OneDrive for business because this is an organizational account. So we have OneDrive for business and connect. Then it will fetch me the details of all the files which are on OneDrive. I have this flooring estimate. Currently, there is only one file, so it's the one which is displaying. But if you have more, this shows you the whole list of files. So I select the file, and anytime you want to bring the data from an Excel file to a Canvas app, it has to be formatted as a table. So this flooring estimates I'm selecting here, this is my table. And let's also see what is there in the file. I'll open it. So I have a sheet with a table where I have the estimates details. So there is a name, category, price, image, etc. So I have several columns here. Now let's go back here and come back to the editor. As you can see, this is a blank canvas app I created. So there is nothing on the screen. If I play it right now, I see nothing because this is an app which I started from scratch. Now let's build it. So this is one way you can add the controls. Otherwise, if you are more comfortable with the left navigation here for adding the controls, this is the one you can use. I can add a label. So here, Canvas app is like, now it's up to my imagination how I want to build the application. So the user interface, it is by default built in a model-driven app, whereas on the Canvas app, I will have to create it on my own design guidelines. So I can say this is the title. I'm saying flooring estimates. Then I want to make it center aligned. Font should be Arial, size 26. Then I want bold. See, this is how you are creating your application. It's nothing like, you have to write any code for the design. There is some code you will write in the Canvas app. We call it PowerFX. It's for applying the logic to your controls and everything. So I'll say the font color is black and the background I want to fill with this yellow color. So now it looks like an application header to me. Okay, now we want to show the data from this Excel file on my application. So for that, I have a gallery control which I can use. Gallery control is like you have repeatable set of data coming from a data source and you want to show it on one by one basis. So gallery is designed in a way where I can only customize the first item. Whatever changes I make on the first item, that will be reflected on all items. So like this. So I'll say this is related to my flooring estimates. And now you can see it has the details coming from the Excel file. And we can customize it in a way like on the image, I have the image column, which is fine. But the subtitle should be the price. The title should be the name. And I can also do more customizations here. For example, this should be a concatenation of category. So this item dot category and is for concatenation and the price. This item dot price. Okay, I missed a M% here. So now, as you can see, it is showing carpet dash 8.1, but that is not a very fine uh, number value. So I'll say I want to format it as dollar, then 00.00 or maybe hash. So I am basically specifying how I want to format my data. So this is a regex I'm providing here. And now as you can see, it is showing me the details as the carpet is dollar 8 and 10 cents and the same for everything. I can also do customizations like this is the formulas I'm writing, it's the PowerFX. You can check the Microsoft documentation for all the formulas that are supported. But if you have worked with Excel formulas in the past, understanding this would be like a piece of cake for you. So I'll say if this item dot price is greater than 10, I want to show it in red, otherwise show it in the black color. Okay, none of the prices are greater than 10. Let's try 4. So now if you see, some of the rows are highlighted. This is how I am controlling what kind of design will be there on my application. And if I come back to the point where we were talking about responsiveness, as you can see, I selected a mobile format. Now, when I'm playing this on a desktop device, this is just so much extra space for me. I am not utilizing my whole screen size. So, the app works on various devices, even if I have selected a specific format, but the design is something which we have to change if we want to make it responsive. So now, how will I make this page as responsive? I can go to the display and say, I don't want to lock the aspect ratio and scale to fit the application. This will make sure the app is scaled to the available screen size. Okay, let's play this now. See, this is on the extreme left. It's not even showing on the whole screen. So we can make it responsive. Plus, if you see, there is some extra space on the bottom because the height was threshold at this point for the previous screen. How we can add this? So we can select each control and we have position coordinates here like x, y, width and height. So I'll say the x is 0, y is 0, but the width is going to be app dot width. So whatever is the size of my app, that will be the size of controls on my screen. And for this, I'm saying the height is 70. Okay, now if I play this, the flooring estimates is expanded onto the whole screen, but this gallery is not. So I can come back, select the control again, say the width is app dot width, and then the height is app dot height minus the height of my header. So that is the one. Plus, I can do something like reference coordinates. So the y of this is going to be label1 dot y plus its height, so that the gallery control is always beneath the header I have here. So when I play this app now, it is adjusted. But again, I would say it's not a very good user experience when it comes to viewing because I have so much extra space again on the screen. As a developer, you can go in and try out many things as you want. There is a property called as wrap count, and I can say if the app dot width is greater than 640, then show three items in one row, otherwise show only one item. So when I have the mobile view in the preview here, I can see only one. But as soon as I play it, it has three different items displaying in the single row. And that is a better utilization of my screen size because now I have the screen divided into various sections and I can view the details properly. So with the help of PowerFX, you can control the responsiveness of your Canvas application. Now, if you want to add more screens, so if you understand the difference, on the model-driven apps, I was not doing anything like this. I was just selecting the components I would like to add to my application, and that's it. Whereas here on the Canvas app, I have various screens, and I am the one who is dragging and dropping controls and customizing the whole user experience. So I can copy this flooring estimate and paste it on screen too. Control C, Control V works. And because I copied it with the formulas and everything, this is automatically adjusted. Then in the insert menu, you can explore various kinds of controls like you have forms, you have inputs, you have date pickers, buttons. For display, there is HTML text, form pros. In the layout, you have different option types. You can add image controls, audio recording devices, video players, etc. Everything on this application. Then you have shapes and icons. Whatever you need, you can bring it to your canvas for defining the user interface of your application. So now one last change I'm going to do here is I want to see the details like the all the fields of my records. So what I'm going to do is there are two types of forms. If I search the forms here, you will see one edit form and one display form. Edit form is for making changes to this Excel file, whereas display form is just for read-only purposes. So if I say I want to add an edit form and I can expand it on the whole screen, or I can say the width is app.width, height is app.height minus 70. So I have the form, and now I'm saying this form is related to the flooring estimates table. I can add my fields here and say category, name, overview, price, and image. Save. All the fields are going to be added on the form now. Okay. Here, there is one thing I'll need to do, which is which item to edit. So the one which is selected in the gallery. So gallery one dot selected. As you practice more and more on the Canvas app, you will also get familiar with the various expressions which are supported. So now instead of this being a delete icon, I'll say this is a edit icon. And when I select this, I want to navigate to my screen number 2. Okay. And on the screen 2, I'll add another icon. So insert submit icon or this check icon. Okay, no, I want to add it outside. This one here and say on this I want to submit my form, which is the form 1. Sorry, form 1. All right, and once it is submitted, like once it is successful, the form, there is on success property. So there are various properties for you to leverage. Then I want to navigate to my screen number 1. When I have submitted the form, I want to go back to the previous screen. Let's test it out. So let's edit this. And then form is not responsive, so I can change it. But I'll say the name is updated dash this. And when I click on this submit icon here, it takes my changes, updates it on the Excel file, and as I can see, this is updated. But let's verify the Excel file. So here also I have updated dash Caserta stone beige. This is how you can create a Canvas application which is according to your design, connecting to the databases of your choice, and then you can build anything. You can connect anything. Like I can connect OneDrive and Dataverse together in the same application. So there are many things which can be done on on a Canvas application when it comes to design and user interface. So if you ask me now, which kind of application should I build? I would say it depends on the requirements. So let's talk about a few scenarios. The first one is I want to build an application for leaves, or maybe let's say reimbursement. So I want to create an application for reimbursements. As a person who is creating reimbursements, there are only limited set of tasks I need to do. As an individual, I will need something to create new reimbursements. Second, to view all my reimbursements and their statuses. For that, a Canvas app can be a good option because you can have customized user interface. Whereas for the accounting team, because they are not really worried about the user interface, but the kind of processes that will run on their data, I would say for the HRs or for the managers or for the accounting or finance team, you create a model driven app. So Depending on what is the use of your application, you can decide whether it's going to be a Canvas app or it's going to be a model driven app. The identical thing about the two is it can only be accessed by people in your organization. So if you say, I built an app and I want to share it with a client, no, you cannot share it directly. You will have to add them as a guest user and then only they can see your applications. Because both model driven and Canvas applications, they are for the people inside your organization. So that's what I wanted to cover with respect to model-driven app and Canvas applications. And Francis, if we have any questions on the chat, I think we have 5 to 6 minutes and we can take those.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Ritika. So it has been so informative, being able to build applications so fast. And
Mhm.
yes, so if there's anyone with a question, they can unmute and ask because on the chat there's no question so far.
Okay.
Hello, Msangi and Ritika.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Ritika, having heard from you. Perhaps I'll have maybe like one or two questions that will make
Okay.
clarity before. So my first question is, are there different versioning of these Canvas or model-driven apps in collaborative to setting when there are regular updates?
Mhm. So with respect to model-driven apps, the functionality of versioning is not yet supported, but for Canvas app, you can have various versions. So there is every time you save and publish, it creates a new version and it is kept in the version history. So if I created this app right now and I go to the applications, maybe I can show for one of the previous Canvas apps. If we go to the details, there is versions, and we can see how many versions were saved for a specific application. If let's say I made some change and it broke my whole application, I can anytime come here and restore one of the previous version. So this is a feature which is only supported for the Canvas apps as of today. Sorry. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yeah, all right. Thanks, Ritika. I've got that clarity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think my question is well answered. Maybe in a nutshell, is there any concept of security role on the various apps? More specifically on the two apps that you've mentioned, that's the model-driven and the Canvas app.
Okay, yes, that's a very good question with respect to security. Okay, so when we are sharing a model-driven app, let's wait for this to load first. I have this contractor management. If I share it with people, there are several things. One is like I can share it with various security roles that exist in the environment. So I can select, like currently it only gives access to administrators and customizers, but I can provide access to other people as well. These roles will be assigned to the user. So let's say Ritika Agarwal, if I want to provide access to person ABC, I can say they belong to business application platform role. I will assign the role to them, and this role is already added on my application. That means the person will have access. With the help of security roles, we can also configure what kind of permissions, like is it going to be just read permission, write permission, delete permission, etc. So we can granularly define the permission levels as well. Whereas for a Canvas app, sorry, I'm just getting some um, calm here. But when we share the Canvas app with someone, there we have two options. One, whether we want to share it in a way where the person can edit the application or they can just use it. The data level permissions has to be managed on the data source itself, whether it's an Excel file, it's a Dataverse table, or it's a SharePoint list. So if I want to share this flooring estimate app with someone, I will also have to share this file with them. Otherwise, they will see nothing on the application. So The security model for model driven app and Canvas app, they are completely different.
All right. Thank you so much.
No
I have
problem.
more questions. Maybe I'll send a mail maybe later on to give room for the rest to ask if they
Uh-huh.
have questions. Maybe the
Okay.
rest I'll do a mail. But however, maybe the very last from my end. Uh,
Okay.
in Microsoft Power App, is there a way to cache data?
To like accept new responses from the users?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely there is. So in the application that I showed you, this was more like I edited the existing record. But here, if I say, let's add a new button and say, I want to add a new record. So new form and then form one. New form defines that I want to add a new record. Plus, there is a patch expression which you can reference also. I'll say navigate to the screen 2. And I'll close this because this should be closed when we are trying to patch something. And when I say this button, I'll say test category, test name, test overview 12, etc. And I save it. That means I'm trying to create a new record here. And you can see this test name is added. Plus, if I open my Excel file, I have this record added. So either you use the new form function with the edit forms, or there is another function called as patch. You can check it in the Microsoft documentation that allows you to save data, new data to your data source.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Back to you, Francis.
Ritika, you have there's another question. Before Gideon unmutes,
Mhm.
there's maybe you can handle them both at once. So there's, can these apps be built and actually be made available from the Play Store? You can maybe
Uh,
note that down and then
oh, okay.
answer. Maybe Gideon can ask the question so that you can handle them at once. Gideon, please
Okay.
unmute.
Okay. Hello, Ritik. I have a question.
Hello.
Can you
Yes.
integrate the app that you have built with an, let's say, a mobile payment app service to the app that you have
Uh,
made? Let's say I'm making a business app.
right. So you mean like integration with the payment gateway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it is supported, but by default, there is no control which allows you to do that. There is a custom control which is available in the community, and you can add it on both your model-driven and your Canvas applications to make that integration possible. So it's doable, but with a custom control.
Okay.
I hope
Thank
that answers your question, Gideon. Yep. Um,
you. Yeah. It's
and the
okay.
Mhm. Okay. And to the other question, whether the apps you build, they can be downloaded directly from the Play Store or App Store, whatever is available. So for that, it's not directly downloadable from the Play Stores, but there is an application called as Power App. When you download it from the Play Store or App Store in your mobile devices, you authenticate with your account, and from there you can access it on your mobile phone. So not directly from the Play Stores, but via another application called as Power Apps. You can check it out, and you will find this app in the Play Stores.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. I think
Thank
Sim Sangi has been well answered. Uh, there is CS, I don't know the name. That was a concise and great presentation. Okay,
Okay, thank
he
you.
has confirmed, answered. Yes, and then Julia sent a link to the Power Platform User Group Kenya for those who would like to join. Okay, so thank you, Ritika. Maybe another question could be for those maybe who have never used Power Platform, what is your advice to them and they would like to explore this particular platform?
Definitely. So if you are new and you want to learn more on Power Platform, my advice would be don't stop on just one use case. Like you want to solve a problem, just think about it, how you can solve it, and go from there. When I started working on Power Platform, it was like that only. I was working on a project, but that was not enough. I spent some own time and then I was exploring different features, whatever was now coming new on the platform. I was starting from there. And when I started, there was not much resources related to Power Platform because it was new, but now you have plenty of resources. And one of my best friends in that case is Microsoft documentation. You'll find everything and anything there. Just go to the documentation and follow the steps that are mentioned there. For Canvas apps specifically, refer to the formula reference and you will find each function with examples and everything. So, whatever you can think of, try building it on Power Platform. There may be cases where you're not able to build it completely, but at least you'll learn something. So, explore the templates, explore the work that is done by other community members, and I think it would be a great start for you to understand how it all fits in together.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Ritika. Maybe you can, the links that you had presented earlier for your blog and your LinkedIn, you can share them on the chat for those who would like to contact you with more questions. And we really appreciate. So you're from which part of India before we go to Chesko?
I am from Hyderabad, India.
Okay, okay.
It's
Right.
in the southern side, like you'll, down south. It's towards the down south.
I'm trying to mention the name, but yes, I don't.
Hyderabad.
Okay,
And
okay.
Francis, one more thing, I don't have access to the chat, so I
Ah,
will send you the links personally on LinkedIn, and then you can share it on the chat.
okay, that's fine.
Okay, all right. So thank you all. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed presenting today, and I hope we'll talk sometime later also if you have any questions.
Sure,
But
sure,
thank you,
sure, sure.
Francis, for having me here.
We appreciate, we appreciate. Thank you. We can
Thank
maybe
you.
give her reactions there on top, claps and all that as she leaves.
Thank you all.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.